And we're live. Hello, hello, everybody. Good morning or afternoon, wherever you are, next day. Hi. I have really been looking forward to this interview, and I am glad to see you all here. It's going to be very intense, eye opening, but I think also very inspiring. And our guest is just, to me, just like Susie Oberholt said, a hero. She's a hero. And I am so appreciative that she's willing to come and talk with us today. And hi, everybody. All right. Without further ado, I do have her channel. Oh, let me just pop it up real quick. Is Solicitous. She goes by Lisa or Nova Haven. And I would like to bring her on.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi,
Welcome.
everyone. I should put on comments.
Yes, you can
There
click
we
on
go.
comments and see the comments.
I'll
And
try
then,
not to pay too much attention to them. Not to
you've been
distract
doing
me.
great. I've been watching your channel. You've been doing you
Thank
did great.
you.
You've had a channel for quite some time.
Yeah, I took a break and came back. I lost some
Mhm.
viewers while I was gone, so yeah, but that's okay.
It
Yep.
happens.
Yep.
Well, hopefully we can get you some more subscribers today.
Sure.
And so if you want to tell us a little bit about yourself, about your channel, whatever you want to share as an
Yeah.
opener.
I am I'm 53. I am a retired nurse, forced retirement due to health conditions. I have two grown boys, one grandson who I just adore. Anybody who watches my videos, the outro, that's my grandson at the end. I While I was at the beginning of my illness, uh, there's not much else to do when you're laid up and you're sick. So I started watching a lot of YouTube videos, and that led me to Aaron's channel. However, I had no idea that there was any option to chat because I was on my tablet, Amazon tablet, and it doesn't allow you to do that. So, but I had noticed Aaron kept popping these messages up and he was talking to people. And I was like, what's going on here? So then I went on my phone and lo and behold, I seen a chat button. So I figured that all out. So from there, I continued to watch Aaron because I just things like that are near and dear to my heart. That things with children going on, and not only the aspect of that, but also organized religion, and a lot that we have learned in the years. And I have some heavy thoughts on that. So that kind of all attracted me to what was going on there. And then that led me to extensions of that, which, would be you, Marilyn, and Susie and Eric and Dusty and Rabbit. And then I decided to start my own channel because I had some things to say. I, was watching a lot with the whole render thing and Aaron thing and taking a lot of that all in. And then I kind of felt like, I've got some thoughts on this, what's going on here, and I want to share them. So then I started my own channel, and it was either my first or second video was regarding him and my thoughts and how corrupt things were. And yeah.
Isn't it wild how things have kind of come full circle? Because
Yes.
all the things that have happened and that the discoveries have been made. Now it's come back to this, like, wow,
Yes.
is there a connection? Wow, it's what's going on.
Yeah.
And I don't know what is going on with my email because I still can't find your emails that you sent me.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
I've been
because
doing searches, looking in spam. I'm like, where are emails? But now we're in touch, so that's
oh,
good.
well, yeah,
I
and I have an
apologize.
email now connected to my channel. I posted it on the
Okay, good.
community post on my page. So
Good.
if
Okay.
anybody wants to email me,
Well,
you
now you can tell me what was in the email, but, yes,
know.
I feel bad that I missed that because I
Well,
definitely would have had
my
you on sooner.
original email was the day that I figured the whole, Echo Mediaplex or whatever the heck he's
Echoplex
called.
Media, yeah. Well, some
And
people call him something else, but we'll
yeah,
see.
well, yes, he is something else. Um, yeah, so the day that I figured that out, and I pondered, should I email her or not? Because she's gonna think I'm crazy, just crazy lady. Yeah, right. I'm sure that's so, but she's not gonna believe it. And I thought,
I
no,
believe it.
I have to send her an email and let her know my dealings with him 22 so years ago. So I did send you an email that day. And I was in your chat and I said, I'm going to send you an email right now.
I'm so
So take a
oblivious.
look. And,
So oblivious.
but basically, I just told you I'm going to do my story of him on my channel when I get the nerve enough to do it. And so I had just let you know that. Yeah.
Well, here we are.
Yeah. Here.
I'm a little late and a little my adopted dad used to say a day late and a dollar short. But, I'm glad to finally be chatting with you, and I saw you on Susie's channel, and I just fell in love with you. I was like, "Oh my god,
Thank
this
you.
she's just so delightful." I was telling
Yeah.
Susie that. I'm like,
And
"Oh,
we
she's
both love
adorable."
crocheting. So,
I know, it's amazing. We gotta do some crochet streams too.
yeah. Yeah.
So, if you wanna take us through your journey from 22 years ago, I hate to have you relive it, but for
Yeah.
the new audience that isn't, aware of it, I did show the documents last night, not the nitty-gritty,
Yeah.
affidavit stuff, but just, like, the conviction and all that
Yeah.
from 2004, which was David Christopher Litton, seen his name a million times. He confessed to,
Yeah.
possession of child materials, bad
Yeah.
materials, and, was sentenced to 6.5 months in prison and served over 3 years, probation, found out because he wasn't very cooperative with his probation.
Yeah.
Very
I could picture
entitled.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
very entitled. And, so this was his conviction came down a year or 2 after what your story, when your story happened, but you didn't know that he had
No.
been arrested and
No.
sentenced.
No.
So that is
I
wild.
tried to, stay, you know, kind of connected to it for a bit to see what the outcome was going to be. And I had followed up with the police officer a couple of times. And, he did say it sometimes, can take time. We don't know how long it'll take, but we will get them. And because they never stop doing that.
Mhm.
Um, and
Right.
then eventually I just went on with life and didn't 100% forget about it. Every once in a while, I would think about it, and you're reading something in the news or you're reading about similar story, and I'm thinking, whatever happened to that
Right.
dirtbag?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you were in was it a
It
Yahoo
was
chat or
it was chat, MSN chat, if I remember correctly, because there was
Mhm.
Yahoo, MSN. Um, oh, there was another one that was quite popular. I can't remember the name of it, but anyways, was not one that I used often. And it was a medical chat, which of course would draw me to it because I worked in the healthcare
Right.
field at the time. I
Yep.
was an assistant, care assistant, and it was at first, a really cool place, just like it is to come here to your channel and Susie's and Aaron's. And um, it had a lot of nice people in it. And it was one of the most popular channels or chat rooms. They didn't call them channels then. And it didn't have this, it wasn't video.
Mhm.
It was just admins who ran a room, and this room had a couple of admins who claimed to be nurses. Afterwards, I questioned all of that. And
Yeah.
it had a lot of nurses that would come in, and caregivers and doctors. There was a doctor and a nurse that used to come in, and they used to go into their teacups, they were called, and have their private chats, and they were kind of like a half an Allen, and so the whole thing was kind of cool. And there was Burnt, Burnt, and that scream name was because he was, a baker, chef, and it was kind of a joke, like he burnt the biscuits.
Or heard
And
that
pardon
before.
the pun. And um, and because he was, the hippy dippy burnt guy, that loved the beach and just puff on his weed or whatever. But he was kind of the mascot of the room, and the chat room, and everybody loved him. He had all the women wrapped around his finger, kind of a posse, his posse. And I loved him at first too. And so, yeah, so but he would kind of take care of the room too. Like, this is, what you think you're seeing, like he would say, we block so and so. He would be telling the admins what to do. Block so and so, he's a troublemaker, can't have him in here. And there were times I was thinking, well, geez, what did that person, I would never really see that person do anything that was,
Right.
and anyways, and then a lot of teens were coming into this room because it was a medical room, and it was different back then than it is now. There wasn't a lot of peer-to-peer connection as you see now. Like, they're all on Twitch and they're doing their video games and they're connecting that
Right.
way. Like, back then it wasn't like that,
Mhm.
and so a lot of them would come in there, and they were, wanting advice on things that were going on in their life. They were troubled teens. So they, could be victims of SA. They could be feeling unaliving, self unaliving, pregnancy, drugs, just not getting along with parents, out on the street, all kinds of different issues going on, with these teens. They were vulnerable. They were
Yeah.
vulnerable teens. So, of course, the right thing to do is to direct them to the right place to go. Look up the resources in their area and tell them, here, I found these resources for you in your area, and this is where you need to go. Because, we're not, I mean, even me now as a nurse, I can't be giving out medical advice or anything like that. And the same as back then. And that's not what that room was for. It was a place to come to kind of blow off steam because,
Right.
you really, as healthcare workers, don't do that at work. You always have to keep your cool, and, you know, so it was just a place, and there would be healthcare workers that would come in there and do that. But it seemed to become overrun more with teens. And
Mm.
because they were being pulled in there. And anyways, it then was, this thing that he was the guy to talk to. He could fix these teens and give them proper direction. And he was just so great at that. Um, and then from there, so that put a flag up for me.
So let me
That
ask,
put a flag
so they were talking as a group, but then he would kinda pull them aside and talk to them
He was
separately
doing personal chats. Yeah.
privately.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, come talk to me. I've gone through that. I can help you out there. And so, um, Sorry, I can't remember where I was going
Oh,
with
I'm sorry. So
that.
you were saying that there were teenagers that were kinda looking to him because he kinda took over as
Yeah, so he
the
was
grand
kind of
poobah
that.
or the
Yeah,
guru.
like
Yeah,
he's just the greatest guy in the room that can deal with these things.
yeah.
And, so, um, that put a red flag up for me, that's what I was saying. And
Mhm,
then, he's, started this kinda talk about, like he was always kind of pushing in the chat, "Nudity's okay, and it's our bodies, we were born," it's the grooming, right? The grooming crap going on. And, well, yeah, if you're privately with your partner or you're part of a new colonist and you're all adults on a beach or whatever, go for it.
mhm.
Uh, but we're in a chat room with a bunch of kids coming in here, an abundance of children. It's overrun by children. What are you talking about? Like, and so that put a red flag up for me because I thought he's talking to these kids and now he's pushing this narrative nudity's okay and blah 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 blah.
And you're saying kids and children. He, on the other hand, didn't see minors as children, right?
He didn't. Like, that was another narrative that was pushed later. But yeah, like they to him, like I can remember once him saying that they know more than we do, and as far as certain things go. And I thought, well, yeah, because they've had horrible things done to them. That's why. They know things they shouldn't know. Um, and that doesn't mean it's okay to continue that behavior with them, or like I didn't know where he was going with that, but again, it put a red flag up for me.
Mhm,
So eventually I had enough red flags up that I just thought there's something going on here. There's something not right going on here. I'm pretty sure there's something inappropriate going on here with him with these kids. And they are kids. He wouldn't see them as kids to him. Um Minors are not kids. And 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 that's the narrative that he would try to push.
mhm,
Um, Anyways, eventually I did make a fake account, and that's not something I believe in doing, or having all these false accounts. It's actually something I hate. But I did it and I thought, well, I'm doing it for the right reason because I just need to know if he's,
mhm.
doing something to these children, if he's grooming this chat room and, just making everybody hunky dory with all this. And so I made a fake account and I did it as a female. And I've tried so hard to remember what age I put on that. I've in any of my videos yet or discussions, I haven't stated what age yet I put myself at. Um, but I feel like it was under 16 because I knew that there's places where 16 um, is legal.
Yeah.
And but I remember trying to debate, if I put it under 16, is he gonna think, like, is that gonna scare him off? But I really wanted to put it under 16 because I wanted to show that if he is doing this, it's not just legal 16-year-olds as he'll
Mhm,
try to claim. And I'm pretty sure I did put it under 16 because when I spoke with the police officer, I distinctly have this memory of him asking me, "Why did you pick the age of under 16?" So I'm pretty sure I did, 99% sure. Um,
mhm.
but anyways, lo and behold, uh, he certainly did start to groom me as this fake teen and child. And eventually he did send me an inappropriate pic of himself because nudity's okay. Um, and of course, wanted one back. So I gathered that information, all the conversations, the picture, and I reached out to law enforcement and gave that all to them. And because I wasn't a working for them as I can't think of what you call the
An undercover op.
yeah, like
Yeah,
uh, they couldn't, take that to court or whatever, but it
right.
was
It's
evidence
evidence.
for them to use to pursue a case or an investigation towards
Mhm.
him. Obviously, they're not going to ignore it. uh,
Right,
so they continued to watch him, and I know they can. At first I was, nervous, like, are they going to continue, are they really going to do this, like, um and so I was told not to go in the chat anymore by law enforcement, stay away from there and let us do our job. And
mhm,
so of course if I was in there it would scare him off,
right,
he wouldn't do his thing. And
mhm,
but he wasn't just going into those chats. He had fake accounts. He was going everywhere. And so um I did go back into the chat. Not under my name, but I did another
right,
fake because I just had to know, like, are they really doing this? And I wanted to tell a teenager, a child, who I knew that I could see him grooming before I had did all this, and I wanted to warn her because I didn't know,
right,
the police would do that, and I just couldn't help it because I thought, I know he was grooming her, and if I don't tell her and something happens, I'm gonna feel horrible. So I did go back in and I told her, um, and of course they knew then it was me. And they, like, I didn't know they were going to react in the way that turn on me, that I did something wrong, but they were all like, like you were saying in your video I watched this morning, like there's people that are in on this and okay with it. Like it's like this it's like this cult or something, a cult of teenagers are not minors, or minors are not kids.
yeah, there is
Like,
a very horrible fringe movement out there that is trying to make it into the mainstream.
right.
I talked about it last night, it's called
Mhm.
MAP, you know,
Yeah.
minor
And I mean,
attracted
he's been
persons.
doing this for a long time
Right,
because this was 20 some years ago,
right.
So this is not something new that he's just started, um, because now he's in that Twitch, again, around where the kids are, and in that apology that he did, I watched, he said, um, sorry to the people who were confiding in him about
Yeah,
their stories. Well, he's still doing the same thing he
still
did back
doing it.
then. That's
Yep,
what he does.
yep,
Like if in one breath you're saying that, minors are not kids, but in the other breath you're wanting to hear all their stories. Well, yeah, because you're trying to pull them in so you can prey on them because they're vulnerable. It's just sick. It's
yeah,
sick. Uh, anyway, so um, I knew then that the police were in the room because when I had went back in and all those people had turned on me and,
wow,
dare I report him and blah, 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 blah. And I wasn't welcomed in the room anymore and I'd be blocked. And, back then you could block just that name and they could come back as somebody else, or you could block the IP address. You can't do that now, I don't think. But so, yeah, they were gonna block my IP address. They'd track me down if I was in any other chat room and make trouble, and they did. They harassed the hell out of me, and, that was a big shock because,
yeah,
I mean, I was so naive still then. I knew about, you know, SA of children and predatory behavior, and because it was all coming to light for me then because of stuff that had happened in my life. So I was my antennas were very peaked at that time, and I had just had my
Mhm.
children, and you want to protect them, and so it was really something I was diving into and reading a lot about and learning a lot about. And plus, after you go through something like that, you're you're kind of in tune to that's how I
Oh, yeah.
I figured out what he was doing because I was so in tune to all that, and still am. Um,
Mhm.
and, so, yeah, I found the police were in the room because then, of course, I got a message from them, "We told you to stay out of there." They knew I was in there
Oh,
because
really? How do they know? Wow.
I had went in to warn that child, and
Oh,
then
right, yeah.
it
Mhm.
said something, and then,
Right.
uh, the whole room, of course, turned on me. Well, they had seen all that, the police, so they were in there. So, yeah, I kept in contact with the police a little bit, afterwards and would say, "Did you catch him yet?" Like, to me, I wanted it to happen like that, right? And they would he would say it was one officer that I had on the type of messenger you had back then, it's different than today. And, yeah, but then eventually, I just moved on and wondered every once in a while, whatever happened to that creep? My God, I hope they got him.
Mm.
Um, and, so then, 20 some years later, here I am.
Mhm.
And mind you, watching all your guys' channels and everything I've learned and everything I've seen, none of that had happened before I went and took a break. So, due to my health conditions and being put on different meds and my body trying to adjust to these meds, and just watching, um, any negative stuff going on, and like I couldn't cope with any of that really. And because I was starting to figure out Tommy as well. And it took me back to years ago, and I thought, I don't know who's in on this with Tommy and just thinks he's Brett Miller.
Mhm.
Who's going to turn on me if I say something, if I figure out that, yeah, he is a con and there's something going on there. So I thought, I just got to take a break until my head's all sorted out health wise and I can think better, and I'll come back. So I would pop in every once in a while to see what's going on. Is it okay to come back? And, but I would still see, like, like Aaron and Nora were bickering or whatever, and I'm like, "No, I'm not." My mental state's not even
Right.
close to
Yeah.
ready to deal with it. And, so finally I decided, I felt stable enough. My doctor got my meds all sorted out, my pain at a decent level, and my neuro issues, were figured out, and I felt stable enough to come back. So I checked things out again, and it seemed like, everything's going good here. And that's the first thing I started watching was yours and Susie's videos. And it was, at first, it was, outing Tommy, and I had no idea him and Reese were together. I did see that in one of my pop-ins it was on New Year's Eve, and they got engaged, and I had no idea they were together until then. And, but I never watched Reese. Reese was never I checked her out a few times after she was on errands, and she just wasn't my cup of tea. And, so anytime her and Tommy were together, I had never really watched them, except the night that they were on that they got engaged. Um, just saw that a little bit and then left. Excuse me.
Yeah, take
See?
your time. Cheers.
Yeah. And, so same idea. My flags were going up with Tommy and all that. But anyways, and so then, I seen your guys' videos and I was like, "Oh my gosh, finally, they've got it figured out, and he is a con and a douchebag."
Right.
And, and they're outing him, thank God. And, and I already knew about, I already figured out Reese. And, but, you guys figured out even more as well. And, good for her for playing that tape and outing him, but it certainly should have been done in a different way and in a timely manner. Um, But so I learned all about that, but I still had no idea about this Echoplex David Litton. And so then you started on to him next. And I was like, oh, geez, I didn't even know about any of this. And this guy harassing you guys like that. And it just, none of it made any sense. Well, why would he do that? For what reason does he all of a sudden have to harass people who are doing good and trying to put the word out there about, you know, things, bad things? They're trying to educate people on these things. And anyway, so I watched your videos, and then that's when I figured out that that's him. I couldn't believe it. I was vibrating. I was like, "Oh my god, that's him. That's him." And
What was the first clue? I'm just curious.
well,
How did you
as
kinda unravel it?
yeah, as I was watching it, and sometimes I'm just listening, and I don't know if you put a picture up of him or I missed it because sometimes I'm doing dishes and I have my earpiece in and I'm listening to you, or I'm cooking supper or whatever, and I'm listening to you or Susie. And I was listening to what you were saying, and I was like, geez, that sounds so much like the guy that I had reported years
Like, the
ago, you know.
circumstances,
Yeah,
right?
lives in
Yeah.
California, um, preying on the kids. Um, oh my gosh, what else? Everything you were saying. It was just, I was like, it was so similar. But then I thought, there's so many predators out there. You know,
Right.
there's so many predators. Oh, the
Yeah, and
time frame.
the affidavit reads so much like your story. Um,
Exactly.
in that case, it was
Yes.
a
So
man.
you were
Yeah.
saying that, and I was like, "Geez, that's just like how it happened with me." And um, the time frame, everything was, you know. And but I thought there's so many predators out there. You know, I'm sure so many stories sound similar. And but he lived in California, and so yeah, so I was watching those, and then it was kinda, you know, start I was thinking, like, "Is that him?" So, I went to I I got curious. I wonder and if in any of his videos, does he talk about what he does for a living? Like, you know, was he a baker or a cook or, uh so I went to watch a video of him, and his channel was gone, which is fine because I wouldn't want to give him the time. But there was other
Mhm.
interviews that people had did with him. So I thought, well, I'll click on one of theirs to get a good view of him. And so I did. And that's when I was like, oh my God, that's him. That is him. And he wasn't saying in the video what he did for a living or anything. And I he like, he just talks garble. Nothing that he's saying makes any sense. And the
Yeah.
poor guy interviewing him is trying to get him to answer this question. He's just simply asking, do you think Jordan Peterson believes in the stuff that he says, or he's making it up to get clicks? And he's just, and then he asked him like 3 times, and then the guy finally says, "You're not answering my question," because he's just talking a bunch of garbly go nothing. Oh, yeah. So, anyways, I knew that was him, and I thought, man, I wish I could figure out where he worked because that would just I was like 99% there, that would 100%, you know. And then you had did another video. I think it was the last one you did, or maybe the second last one, and you had mentioned what he did for a living, and I was like, "That's it."
Yeah, he
Yeah.
did well, it was in his, notes, from his probation officer, and he had been
That
fired from Panera
wow.
or something. He's in kind of the club scene, he's into music, all these different, side hustles,
Yeah.
and because he has a record, I
Yeah,
think that,
exactly.
yeah,
Exactly.
that
And one
he's
thing he
on
would
the internet.
always say in the chat was, you know, he liked California, but his favorite place is the Keys. And he always would go on about the Keys, the Keys, Keys. And I would think, well, why don't you just go live there? Like, and now, you know, thinking back, I'm thinking he probably can't go there because he's probably done some crap there that he can't go there, you
Yeah,
know?
you never know. Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, so
Yeah.
we have a lot of comments and questions. This has just been so interactive. If you don't mind, I'm gonna go through some of
You
those,
go ahead.
and we'll pick your brain a little more. And then
Yeah.
I had a couple more questions after that. We'll see how we have time. I might have to ask you back a few more times.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so we've got Silva Larson. She has a cool name. Yes, I
Yeah.
love
The names
the
are so cool.
Nova Haven, and
Oh, thank you. She
solicitous
was
means
saying
something.
my name is cool.
Yours. No, she
I
said
was
she said you have a cool name.
oh, thank you. Thank you. I thought you were saying her name is cool.
Her name is cool too. Yeah, but she
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
can you see on the
I
screen?
see it
No?
now, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you,
Okay, good.
Silva. It's
Okay.
because I live in Nova Scotia.
It's very pretty.
So, yeah.
Very pretty. Stace Various says, "You're both looking very fancy today, ladies." Thank
Thank
you.
you. Thank
Thank you, Stace.
you.
Sharona says, "Nova has such a pleasant voice." That's what I
Oh,
immediately
thank
noticed.
you. My voice has
Definitely
put people to sleep.
I know, I love it. And definitely go to her channel, and you can hear her all the time. I love it. Um Yes, Julia O'Connell. There's
Yes.
been a lot of connection with Mike Render being the gatekeeper of the lawsuit.
Yeah.
That's actually what I wanted to bring up later on, but if you want to touch on that now, I would love to hear your take on the Mike Render connection to all this.
Well, I can certainly see that there would be a connection for sure. So I guess my understanding, I thought it was Dave who reached out to Mike, but I guess it was Mike that reached out to Dave.
Yes.
And I can certainly understand that because he wouldn't that be the type of support that he would be looking for, being that he hid so much. And now you've got this individual who's the honestly seems like a leader of a cult of minors are not children.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can
Yeah,
definitely
and there's a
see
whole network of
it
trolls,
would
I
be a
call them.
support for Mike.
Yeah, there's a whole group of them, and I mentioned some of them last night, like Pete Jensen and Michelle Carpenter used to be involved. I don't know if she's still involved, and there's of course our friend True Clear Media, Jamie Thomas, and they seem to be defending this guy.
Oh my
And they
god,
were,
so sick,
very
Marilyn.
friendly with him before. And I don't know, now he's kind of still sort of on the scenes. His channel is now active again, but I haven't seen any videos on it. But yeah, this whole really, weird network. They all seem to be huge Mike Render fans,
Of
huge
course,
Aftermath Foundation fans,
of
that
course.
fake Tato Foundation and all that. They put a video out yesterday. They're all like so into them. Funny how Dave Litton and the rest, they don't talk against Scientology.
Right,
They speak out against people who are speaking out against Scientology
right, right.
and some of the
And
survivors,
and
like
that's
Liz Gale and Jenna
right,
Miscavige and Aaron Smith Levin and all them, and even any of their friends. He would put up my videos and just mock them for 4 hours,
right.
like so
And that's
boring.
exactly what he would do, because that's not the narrative he's trying to push, right? So his
Right.
narrative is that minors are not children, and he's said it himself. He said those exact words himself. And you guys are standing up for children and trying to put the good word out there of, well, not good, but you know what I mean, like
Mhm.
you're doing the good work. And no, he wouldn't want that.
I'm gonna skip down to this comment. CO Bill, he's come forward and said that he was indeed my source.
Yes, I
Helped me
saw
so
that.
much
Yeah.
with finding out about this guy.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Well,
thank you
thank
so
you,
much,
see,
Bill. Yeah.
thank you.
Yes. I'm
And
so
thank
glad.
you,
Yeah.
Marilyn, for doing what you did. Like, wow. and for us
Well,
to
I
be able to
definitely
connect
obviously
all
had a lot
that.
of support. Giorgio and the Staces and everybody have been super supportive, and all of our community here. But
Yeah,
Steel Bill says Dave Litton repeatedly platformed an independent Scientologist who was convicted in Australia for spray painting a
yeah,
penis on a memorial for a R word
yeah.
unaliving victim.
Disgusting.
And this also was an independent Scientologist.
Yeah.
Scientology, in essence, believes that children are adults
And
in small
that's
bodies.
who he wants to connect with. And then I figured that out as well, as I was saying in the story, how he would say, you gotta block so and so and keep them out of the chat room. And I was always like, why? What did that person do? Then I figured out that it would be someone like you or Aaron. That's who he was telling those admins to block. He didn't want that in there.
Hmm. That is just sick.
Yeah,
I mean, it started in a really terrible, negative way, but also very enlightening. Like, wow, look, now we know.
yep, it's
It
sick.
just, I think yesterday it all kind of came together for me. Um, because I saw it took that group coming out against someone who had some prison tattoos that says that I haven't seen him say
Oh,
heard
I
him say
saw
anything
that.
racist or anything. They came against him
It's
when they had been
ridiculous.
using him. They've been using him for his platform and all that. And then they have this whole agenda where they want to, they're done with him. They want to bring him down. They mess with the wrong person.
Oh, yeah. And
Because
those
he doesn't fuck around. And and I was thinking like, oh my God, like they have the nerve, the audacity to defend this convicted child pred and
right.
come against someone who has old tattoos that they regret, that they don't feel that way anymore. And I can relate because I was brought up in a very homophobic area of Christianity, sect. And yeah, I was taught that gay people are bad. So I don't believe that anymore. I
I
don't
know.
have tattoos that say that, but I don't believe that anymore. So I do believe that people can change their minds.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
when it comes to
But
this,
yeah, but the other thing is you gotta look at the circumstances. That's prison survival. That's prison survival. They, when you're in prison, you have to choose where you're gonna be. That's just how it is,
yeah,
and that's your survival.
yeah,
So, a lot of it's pretensies until you can get out of prison.
yeah.
Yeah, and
And there's a difference
unfortunately,
between
less of
20
those.
years old and 50 years old,
Oh my gosh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. So that when that happened, I was like, wow, like I just had to highlight that. I was like,
yeah,
these people, and I know who they are defending a child pred.
right,
And I know some of their extreme politics from some dealings I've had with them before. And they and also Michelle Carpenter and some of the other ones, they like to have these pet projects where they basically bully people into
mhm,
doing their bidding and
yeah,
try to intimidate them. And some of them have gone underground and they don't want to show their face. They're just cowards. They're cowards,
yeah.
you know?
And
And this
I
the map
want
thing is disgusting.
everyone to remember that what the police officers did, law enforcement, which they did the same thing I did, but they did it in a different chat, for gay people, and they lured him in the same as I did with the teen and caught him on that, he was breaking the law there, but it wasn't an actual teen, it was somebody undercover. But besides that, and that disgusting conversation that he had with a supposed teen and giving me a naked picture, as a supposed teen, there was material found on his computer.
Mhm.
He had material on his computer of children, inappropriate material. So you have to remember that. And to say that, he's changed and took all his paperwork out and burned it and, it's not important. Like, who says that? especially if you're a changed person.
Right.
Who says that?
Yeah. Yeah. The details don't matter. Well, they do. They
Oh,
do matter.
yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just so glad that you have had the courage to come out and tell your story, because it just really drives it home that this is something that is still happening and can potentially still
Absolutely.
happen. And
Yeah.
having the awareness of the pitfalls of
Yeah.
the internet and these predators hiding in plain sight. He was interviewing um, independent I'll say ex-Scientologists in the sense of not in Scientology itself, but practicing, I guess they call it squirreling, right? So he
Okay.
was interviewing several people that were kind of OGs that left but still were practicing Scientology.
Yeah.
So he has had this kind of, now I look back, he's had this kind of affinity of people who practice Scientology, but then people that have abandoned it completely and are actually fighting against Scientology on behalf of the children.
Yep.
That's his problem.
Exactly. That's his
Wow.
problem with you, and that's his problem with Aaron, and that's the same way stuff he
Yeah,
was
he's
doing
he's
back in
spoken
the
against
day.
Serge. Yeah, he's spoken
Oh,
against
can you imagine, Surge?
Nora. To Nora's credit, she's fought for the children as well.
Oh, yeah.
He's
Oh, yeah,
spoken against
absolutely.
a lot of the. It's funny how he goes really hard on the ex-Scientologists who are members of the LGBTQ community.
Yeah. Well,
Which,
the well
and
well,
also Steve Mango, he was
yeah.
after him too.
Yeah. Well, there'd be a lot of young people going into the LGB I'm sorry, I'm gonna say this wrong. My son is gay, and he gets mad at me all the time because 'cause I'll say he'll say, "Mom, people find that insulting when you say that wrong," and I'm like, "I'm
I know
sorry.
I
I'm
practiced it,
trying
but
to
I still
learn all
I'm
this."
afraid to say it. Yeah.
But there would be vulnerable people in there, because there are people who are shunned from their families and who still have those crazy thoughts that, you shouldn't be gay. So there's vulnerability there, Yeah. Predators know where to prey.
Yep. Yeah. Oh my God, like, just looking at that connection there, it's just baffling to me, but now it makes a little bit of sense, even though it's twisted. It doesn't make sense, but at least now, I can kind of put the pieces together, because I was like, I couldn't understand why there was this whole army of trolls that are defending Mike Rinder,
Yep,
independent Scientology, different
yep,
people that are, in that kind of camp,
yep.
and so vehemently against the people that are the children cannot consent people,
Right,
the second gen the scroll people,
right.
all that. I was like, what is it? I don't
Exactly.
understand.
And
Now I'm
I
paying
was thinking
attention.
the same thing when I first learned that this guy was doing this to you guys because I had been on YouTube vacate away from YouTube. Why? What is this guy's beef? Why would you do that when these guys are doing the good work? Like, what's your beef? And then when I figured out who it was, I was like, uh-huh, yeah, I see now. I got it.
Wow.
Sick.
Yeah. Yeah. That's ugh. I know it takes me a while to catch on, because we don't think like that, right? It's just crazy.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
So James still wants to know, how far back does this sicko go? Well, we know at least 22 years,
Right.
right?
It was 22 years ago
He's in his
with
50s
me
now. Mhm.
that this went on.
I believe he was
Mhm.
27 when he was arrested, so that would have been 2004. So, yeah, and he was a grown ass man,
Yeah.
you know?
Ugh, so
Steve
gross.
says that's how they
You
weasel
can't
their
get
way
that
into
off your
places,
face.
being likable,
Yes. Yes.
the love bombing.
Same as, Tommy, Brett, same thing.
Yep, yep. And then they take over that
Exactly,
charismatic
Stay
personality, and all
Sharia.
of a sudden people are looking to them, they're bossing people around, and they're
That's
yeah.
right. Oh, yeah, yeah, exactly. Got everybody wrapped around their finger. He
Yep.
had me wrapped for maybe 2 months. Yeah.
Keeping off the most
Exactly, Stay
vulnerable.
Sharia.
Yeah. Sharona says, "This is such an incredible story. This connection from decades ago, fighting the good fight to shine the light on predators and finding out it came full circle. We
Yeah.
need to rid the interwebs of him now."
Yeah, and
Yeah.
you can't tell me that things are not meant to be and happen at a certain time, and I mean, how is this possible? I told my husband about it, and he's just like, "I told you, there's things that are just meant to happen, they'll happen."
Yeah.
And for me to even have to take that mental break from YouTube and adjust to my meds and my whole health conditions and stuff, and then go, "Okay, I'm ready to come back," just as you're outing this guy.
Yeah.
Like, yeah,
It's wild. Yeah,
yeah,
I do believe there's something in the universe that, puts things together
connects.
like that,
Yeah.
and I'm grateful for that. James Still, where can I get a crochet troll? Crochet George Massey, he's not a troll. That's funny.
I meant to tell you too, my little picture on my messenger of Elmo, I crocheted that for my grandson.
I noticed that. I noticed that. I had, of course, I had to blow it up and look. I'm like,
Yeah,
"Oh, yeah, it's our Amigurumi." I love
yeah,
it.
he's sitting on the
Oh, yeah.
rocking chair.
I noticed that right away. CO Bill. Dave, knowing everything with his
Yeah,
progressive attitude, taking a special interest in the youth. He sounds
right.
like the subsequently defrocked priest that I grew up with. I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
Ugh,
Exactly, exactly. And
yeah,
you and I were talking about that earlier, and I said, they flock into those areas, the
mhm,
predators.
yeah, yeah, well, not welcome here. James Silly saw minors as prey. Yep, absolutely.
Yeah,
Stace says, "It's a downside of the internet. It's made it easier for predators in many ways,
it
but
has.
things were also more hidden before, and now we're more aware."
That's right,
I
and
think that.
there's the 2 sides to that. It does make them more, they're more out there, but they're also getting caught.
Yep,
They're getting caught because everything's on there and it stays, it doesn't go
yep,
away.
yep, yep. Yeah, when all this came out, I was like, I mean, on the one hand, it took a long time for him to get caught, but on the other
Yeah,
hand, I was like, the audacity, knowing that all you have to do, Seal Bill found the public records,
yeah,
and you just have to plug it in. Was it Pacer or whatever, and pay a small fee? It was
yeah,
right there under our noses,
yeah.
and he knew that.
What an idiot. Like, the guy's a complete idiot.
Yeah, because he just kept poking the bear, poking the bear. I was like, "Who's this dude?"
Like, hello, do you not know Marilyn? You've watched enough of her videos. You should have figured that out.
I never planned on
Oh
doing this
my.
to catch our predator thing, but it just kind of happened, I guess.
Yeah,
And I've had a lot of help, so I
yeah.
appreciate that because hey, I would love to see them all go down. Trust me,
Yes,
from my
yes,
from my past experience as well.
that's right.
I never reported, my um, yeah, what do you call perpetrator, whatever. I never
Yeah,
reported him. I
yeah.
think he's dead now. So
Well, that's good.
yeah, yeah, save somebody else from grief. Julia, spreading awareness is key. Absolutely.
Exactly. And man, oh
For
man, the
sure.
youth need to stop telling them their stories and,
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah, expose it. Absolutely. Right, Julia, the details matter. Absolutely. Dan Louise? Sally, my daughter was a victim of grooming in person. Didn't end well for her. These people need exposing. I'm sorry. See, that's
yeah.
what just wants me it just makes me wanna cry
I
my eyes out.
know. I know.
Ugh, this sucks, doesn't it?
Yeah. It's so sick that this stuff goes on.
Mhm. Oh, yes. Have a seat, Dave.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Mm. Yep. George Massey, how many actual teens got those disgusting pictures from him? We'll never know.
Exactly. Exactly. Oh, there were, yeah, many, I'm sure.
Well, you did the right thing, and I'm sure it didn't come natural to you to do that, but I'm so glad you did,
And
you
even
know?
when, like, when he sent that picture, it still was so shocking to me, even though my red flags were up and I suspected him. Because
Mhm.
you really don't, in your heart of hearts, you don't want it to be so.
Right, yeah.
So when he did, and even as he was saying he was gonna send it and blah blah blah, I thought maybe he's just joking. He's gonna send me some silly cartoon like, you know what I mean? And then when
Right,
that picture come up, I just was so shocked and disgusted.
and,
Yeah.
if you don't mind me asking, so you saw his face,
Oh, yeah.
and you
I
remember.
I didn't look at anything else. I
Right.
pulled his face up. I wanted a good look at his face, and I mean, he's got a ugly face. I'm sorry to say that. I don't would not normally say things like that about people, but he's ugly. Um, and you don't forget that face just as you wouldn't forget Marilyn Monroe's face for her beauty. You know what I mean? So it's him. It's a definite.
So when you saw him, you're like, "That's him."
Oh yeah, and there were certain things I that stayed in my head. I have a very good long-term memory. My short-term memory, unfortunately, is a
Same
mess
here.
now because
Yeah.
of the things. But my long-term memory is so, and it's in pictures, like,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
oh no, I never forgot his face.
never forgot that.
Never,
Yeah.
never.
And that's another thing too, is that he showed you his
Mm,
face, like,
y-
everything.
yeah, no shame.
Yep.
Disgusting.
Tan Louise, thanks 2.5 years of therapy. She is better, but bears the scars. These people
Oh
need
yeah.
held accountable.
That's
Yes.
right.
Yes.
To me, the laws need to change here in Canada and in the US. Well, probably everywhere around the
Yes.
world. uh, the laws have to change
Right.
because they don't change. They don't change.
No, they don't. And in Canada, there's no statute of limitations, though. Right? That's what I heard.
I'm not sure if that's in every province. I would have to look it up for Nova Scotia,
Mhm.
because shockingly, things are so I've lived in, 4 different provinces and things are so different in each
Different. Right.
province.
Yeah.
My son just got a bill for when he was doing, traveling nurse up in BC. He had to go to the hospital and he got a bill in the mail. Well, here in Nova Scotia, you would never get a bill in the mail
Right.
because you went to the hospital. He's like,
Right.
"What is this?" So, things are so different, but that could be straight across Canada, I'm not sure.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah, I agree. The laws do need to change.
And another thing I wanna remind people, that 16 age, they gotta change that as well, because that 16 is more for if a 16-year-old is dating a 19-year-old.
Right.
This is not to
Yeah.
give predators permission
Yeah.
to prey on
Yeah.
someone
Mhm.
and consider them, not a minor.
Mhm.
But that's what they do, they use it to their benefit, you know? It's
Right.
disgusting.
Yeah, you're talking about a, late teens, early 30
Yeah,
year
like,
old man,
if I was 16
and
and my boyfriend was 19 or even 20,
mhm,
but there is a real relationship there and the parents, they're okay with it and they're, whatever. That's more for things like that. That's not for, or even if the she's 16 and he's 18, and he's considered an adult, like, that's more to cover those things, not
mhm,
these predators to come in and abuse 16-year-olds because now we're into this whole tea thing. Well, I guess that was always going on as well. If I was in a traffic accident today, um, it's disgusting.
mm. Yeah, and I was thinking about, even with the age being close, you no means no. So, with the Brett Miller thing,
Oh, yeah.
um, I have him on record, on video saying it was a statutory thing. It was a
Oh,
statutory
I
thing. Yeah.
know.
And he's like, we were only 6 months apart," which isn't true, according to the affidavit. And well, they were probably a year and a half, but it was forced. It was strong arm, sodomy,
Yeah.
and he confessed on tape, and he was sentenced to 4 to 10 years, but it was stayed because it was like a first offense. He was 19 when he was convicted, but when it happened, yes, he was almost 17. She was 15.
Yep,
The
but
fact that she was under 16
right,
made a huge difference. He was
right,
convicted as
and
an
he
adult.
continued that behavior. He didn't just
Yes.
do that to her, and that like, you found more information, and
Yeah.
he continued that behavior. He's a sicko.
He not only stalked her, but he sexually harassed her. He
Right,
he tried to force her again. He
right.
revealed,
Tried
you
to
know,
offer her
he
money.
exposed himself. He put money in her hand. Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
and the only reason why he would offer money, because if he did do something to her and she had taken that money, that would cover his butt,
Yep.
because he would say, "I paid her for it." So in other words, she was prostituting
Yeah.
herself. Like, that's just, they're so sneaky, so
Yeah. And
sneaky.
he I get so
Oh, I know, I know.
he knew that as a young adult, very
Yep,
young
at
adult,
19.
19,
Yep,
20, 21.
yep,
And I don't mean to yell. I'm kind of yelling in my microphone.
yeah. Oh, it gets me
There's
worked up too.
there's a part there's a couple parts in that the long con, I call it the long con audio, where he's describing his cons and he says, yeah, if I don't ask for it and they give it to me, then it's not money and gold coins and all this stuff, right? And he even said he staged it by sending it back and then sending it back to him or whatever. But he said at one point, he's like, this is the con. And he says really gruff, like, I've been doing this since the day I was born. Just like
Oh,
that
I
was like this
know.
growl, this nasty growl. And I'm like,
Yeah.
do people like that change?
No.
I don't think so.
No, no,
I don't think so.
no. They
So how
changed
many
their
people did
name
this
so
happen
they can
to?
continue on in a different name.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. How many others? Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. David said, before all of this, I never thought about looking into what drives predators. I've been lucky living in my naivety.
I
Yeah.
know.
Yes. I'm pretty naive.
And once
Well,
you learn something, you can't
learning.
unlearn it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
True. James Steele, this conversation is so vitally important. Yes. Thank you for being here.
Thank
And
you.
yeah. Steele Bill, if the mainstream of LGBT community doesn't tolerate this sort of thing, it was more of a problem in the 70s and 80s, but Dave Litton and Allen Ginsberg can't sit with us in 2025.
Right.
I don't know who Allen Ginsberg is. Is he the
I don't
one he was
either.
talking about? I'm not sure, but yeah. You can't sit with us. That's right. That's right. Yes, he targeted a lot of ex-Scientologists speaking their truth.
Yeah.
Mhm. Lord Kissfreak. I think I heard this. He was trying to get close to the victims of Danny
Oh my
Masterson also.
god.
Yeah. Are we talking Dave Litton or we're talking Tommy Scoville? I think
Oh,
probably both of them.
Tommy, definitely.
Both of them,
He
yeah.
weaseled his way in with Aaron there.
Yep. Yep.
My god, those tapes Aaron played of his messages, I laughed so hard.
What yeah, just the arrogance and that yeah,
Yes.
like, I'm an alpha male. It's like, that's not very alpha to say that. But but I see the personality, similarities between him
Oh,
and Dave.
yes, yes, absolutely. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah. This is so true, Paula W. It's watering down being a PDF file. Yeah,
yes.
it's assigning some kinda, like, euphemism, like,
That's
nice
right,
label to it.
that's
And
right.
as if they, you know I don't know whether they can help it or not, but statistics show that they don't change
Oh, come
usually,
on.
you know?
I mean, I get the whole, it's part of your brain makeup, I understand all that part of it, but when you're intentionally doing what he's doing, or doing what Mike was doing to hide things, come on.
Yeah. Yeah. No. The children come first. Fuck that shit.
Mhm.
I get so mad. I get so mad. Right, exactly, Julia. A minor is a minor, period. Children cannot consent, and
That's right.
that's what it is. Yep.
Yeah.
Stasia, I'm guessing any empty head plexigram trolls will stay away so they don't out themselves. Yeah, you
Oh,
never know. I have a feeling that
I
he's not the only one.
yeah, and I don't think they care.
Mhm. Right.
And they're very sneaky, so sneaky on how what they're doing.
Yep.
Disgusting.
Yeah, they are. They are. They're very sneaky. They can fly under the radar, but eventually,
Yeah, oh,
hopefully,
yeah.
most of them
You
get
messed
caught. They
with the
slip
wrong
up.
person.
They slip up. Yeah.
He messed with me, and he messed with you.
And we found each other. Like, how the hell did that
I
happen?
know. It's so crazy, I'm telling you. Like my
I would
hubby
love to be
says.
like, Dave Lynn, have a seat.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Oh my goodness.
what an idiot.
Sharona, just because words come out of someone's mouth does not make it so. I despise this MAP movement trying to infiltrate the LGBTQ community. Yeah, it's so gross.
Mhm.
And as Bill said, that's not acceptable. Not gonna
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah.
It's just so gross. That is 3 guys who tried to weasel their way into the lives of Jane Does that we know of, right? Yeah, I'm sure there's a lot. And the thing that I keep coming back to also is this really twisted, sick thing in Scientology where it's the victim that ends up getting, expelled and disconnected from and ostracized
Mm,
for daring to report
yeah,
a
to speak
predator
speak
or
out.
an R word. That's right.
Yep,
They're not allowed to report them, but it's okay to hurt people like that,
right.
to assault people in that way, but
Yep,
it's not okay to report it.
yep.
Absolutely disgusting.
Very backwards.
Yep. George Linton validated Rinder's hate and vengeance campaign in his last days.
Mhm.
And that's very sad.
Yeah. And
Mm.
look at what Mike Rinder focused on in his last days. And I do believe he had some brain meds, but even still, that tells you where his focus. As a nurse, I've dealt with people with brain meds, and they will show like some anger in certain areas. Like I can remember one client, it was with his food because he always wanted his food a certain way. And but when you have some people coming in for cooking for you, and I was the manager of the staff coming in to cook, um, he wanted his fish a certain way, and if it wasn't because he had those brain meds, he would just obsess over that, the food, the
Mhm.
food, the food. But that shows you where his obsession was, and he had those brain meds, so it kinda took away some control of what he was saying about what he was obsessing about in his mind, and that's what he focused on in his last days.
Mhm.
Well,
Yeah.
instead of your family and
Right.
like
Right. Your legacy, like, he did do a lot of work in the anti-Scientology movement,
yeah,
and I would hope that he would have said, "Hey, like, this is what I'd like to see. I'd like to see Scientology go down.
yeah,
Here's passing the mantle to you all,
no,
and
no,
and I love my family," or whatever,
yeah.
instead just
No, his brain was
negative.
still so focused and obsessed
Mhm,
with the cover up, and
mhm,
yeah.
yeah. So we're talking about Dave Litton. I think Lord Kissfreak,
Yeah,
he should not be allowed online at all.
I
I
don't
agree.
understand why he wouldn't be watched, and because what he did was online. That's how he got caught. So how is he allowed online?
And he
You
still
know?
uses his name and shows his face. Is
Oh
that like
yeah.
a narcissist
I
thing?
never
Like,
knew his real name until now, until this. It was just always burnt to me
right,
because you didn't tell your real names back then.
right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
back
I think
then.
he
So old.
probably wants the recognition, you know? And
Oh yeah.
often that's what happens with criminals, these dumb criminals. They
Oh yeah.
they slip
Become
up
very
because
proud
they
of
want
their
some credit.
work.
Like Brett
Yeah.
Miller, he loves to brag,
Oh my
and he gets
gosh.
caught on tape all the fucking time.
Yeah, yeah. "Hi, I'm Brett Miller, and by the way, I just wanna let you know, I'm a con man,
I just
okay?"
robbed a bank. Yeah. Right, and here's how you do it.
Yeah,
Here's a
yeah.
long
"So if
con.
I con you, it's your fault because I just told you I'm a
Just taught
con
you how to
man."
do it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yep.
yeah, and this is how you do it. Yeah.
Seal Bill, it's funny how the Reddit trolls still make threads about Marilyn, but not about the videos, right? As
Oh,
if they
yeah.
know that their positions in history are indefensible. Right.
Yeah.
It's all just, it's like that. It's very Scientological in a way. It's like always attack, never defend.
That's
Don't,
right.
and unfortunately, I'm not going to go there, but yeah, it's happened a lot lately.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking about.
I do.
Yeah, just twist my words or don't address them at all,
Mhm.
and
And just
just
make up
call me
lies.
names. Yeah, just be like, she's a horrible
Yeah.
person and a child abuser and a bully and this and
Yeah.
that. And it's like, okay,
Marilyn, like, can you imagine just I worked with somebody like that, and every day it was the same thing, and just make up whatever lie. Whatever lie you wanna make up today, just go ahead and make it up.
yeah,
Like,
never
and you
address
can
the issues,
and
or
then you
why
look
people
at
are so
your
upset.
video or Sam's information, and it's the complete like, how? How can you just make up these
It,
lies?
it's like it doesn't matter because the proof can be right there.
Yeah,
And these trolls are like, Dave's not that bad. He's not a PDF file.
yeah,
And here you saw it 22 years ago before he was even, convicted of it. And here it is
mhm,
decades later. And
yep.
I think he's still up to his old tricks. I
Oh,
do.
definitely, 100 exactly what he's doing is what he did years ago, there's nothing
Mhm.
different, except that you can see his
Yeah.
face. Ugh.
Right. I know. I know. It's just just sarcastic. He just has this like look on his face, just like he's superior to everybody.
Ugh,
That's what drives me crazy, and making
yeah.
fun of my microphone and all that. It's like, whatever. You know what? I don't profess to be some expert at anything.
I
So,
didn't see any of the videos that he did on making fun of you guys, and I don't want to, I'd never give him the watch hours, but
oh, it's boring. I only saw a couple minutes of it, like, oh my God. And I would just speed through. But
nothing he says makes any sense.
I know, I know. Oh, hey, pause for Andrea. Great to see you. I haven't watched those videos. I think meaning Mike Render's video, his 7-part video. But it says a lot about Mike Render to know what he focused on and obsessed about in the end stages of his life. He could
Yes.
have done a lot of good for the victims.
Exactly, and even
Yeah,
though, like I said, he no doubt had brain meds, but still, he focused on those areas that he truly was obsessing about
yeah.
and trying to cover up.
Yeah, and even before that, we roll it back even a year. He knew about that look back window.
That's
Never
right.
said anything. Like Aaron said yesterday, he never said anything. I had an exchange with him over a year ago now. He had cancer at that point, but he
Mhm.
was in remission and he seemed to be himself. I don't
Yeah,
know. I don't know his
yeah,
baseline because I don't know him.
there was a small window there, yeah.
He was saying the same kind of things that he
Oh,
said towards the end.
absolutely,
So
absolutely.
it wasn't like it was new. I mean, he
No,
was still
no, it
launching
was
some of the same
yep.
attacks against Aaron
It was
even
the
back then.
same thing all the way through, and
Yes.
that's what I'm saying. Like, now here he's to a point where he's dying and no doubt has brain mets, and he's still going on about it because it's so at the front of his brain, to obsess
Mhm,
over it.
mhm. Constitution says one of the threads deleted any mention of the Dave situation. To me, that's covering it up. Someone even said, well, they did that because he is their friend. Yeah, I guess Reddit and
Oh, so
some
I
of the
don't
channels were scrubbed of any mention of it. I did get some of it and I saw some of it and there's a lot of witnesses to it, but I didn't see anything where I don't go on Reddit. I'm just
I don't
talking about like
either. I don't
clear
go on
clear
any of
clear
those.
media, true clear media said on her channel that he's not. I saw it with my own two eyes that he's not a PDF file. Mrs. J had a thread that she didn't specifically say it, but she was hosting a little discussion about it, saying that it really didn't count because they were only 16 or 17 was the legal age. And I'm like, not in every state and not in my book,
No,
especially when you're a predator
and
and
that
those we don't know how old those teens were in that
in the
video that he
picture
had in his
right.
computer,
Yeah, yeah,
the
because
Russian teens.
it was the supposed teen that he was speaking with,
Right,
that was 16 or 17 or whatever, which still does matter.
right.
Um,
But that's
and
ultimately
but
not
the
what he was
pictures, I
charged, right,
highly doubt those pictures were of a 17-year-old. And like I said, for me, I'm so positive that I had put my age under 16, because it was so important to me to show that it's not just this, oh, they're legal, they're 16, and
right.
uh, I didn't want him to push that narrative.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Just wow. Um, oh, this is interesting, Julia. That is absolutely about the statue,
Yeah.
the memorial, that's absolutely gross. Seal Bill, if he did that
Yes,
on,
it
it's a
would be a
hate
hate
crime.
crime. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would be too.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, George. He was grooming the teen, explaining aspects that the teen didn't understand, straight up grooming.
Yep.
Yep. Yeah, that whole back and forth, it was just
Disgusting.
mhm. Stace, we need to keep reporting his Twitch channel. If they ban him, he shouldn't be around the teens that use that platform. Yeah.
That's right.
I had some people reach out to me in an email and that were on Twitch and someone had, I think it was their son that was kind of like a big sponsor or something, like he's big in the gaming community and he
Yep.
had some connections in that community and he did report his channel.
Good.
So hopefully it helped, I'd
Good.
like to follow up on that. But yeah. George wants to know, what are Nova's thoughts about him preying on teenage girls and not just boys? Is it a power thing as well as a sexual thing, like the orientation?
Yeah, it's control, and, it you know, because of things in my past and conversations I've had with law enforcement, um, and my sister and I had sat with law enforcement and, you know, explained things that happened with us, and we have a brother as well. And I remember the officer saying, and remember, I was very young at this time, and the officer saying, "Well, what about your brother?" And I said, "Oh, no, he's a boy." Because in my naive mind, I thought because it was
Right.
the man that
Yeah.
preyed on us that, we're female, so but no, he wouldn't do that to my brother, he's a boy. And then he had, educated us on the fact that that doesn't matter. When people are like that, they will prey on both, and for the control, and also due to the fact that, you have to understand a teenage girl would, how people chum around when you're a teenager. You have guy friends, you're like a
Yeah.
friends, um, that you can pull those in as well for him.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, Stacy's this is definitely a trigger warning. It's terrible, but it's true, I'm sure.
yes, yes,
Uh,
yes, sort.
Predators will swap images with each other for ones they are interested in, like in role
Exactly.
playing cards.
It's the card game. Yep.
So gross.
Mhm. Yep,
Mm,
so it
so
doesn't matter, like a straight person will prey on both and a gay person will prey on both. It doesn't matter.
yeah. I love this. Thank you, Fuzzy. Fuzzy Pink Handcuff says, "Not all heroes wear capes. Many wear scrubs."
Oh,
Thank you,
thank
Nova,
you.
for
That's
seeing
right,
something and
scrubs,
doing something.
yes. Yeah.
We gotta crochet you a cape.
Yeah.
I love that.
I could crochet one. Actually, I did have crocheted capes like the
You have
wraparounds. I'm sure
oh,
you have too.
nice. I love it. Love it.
Yeah,
Julia, thank you, Nova, for speaking out.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Yes, we really appreciate that.
Yeah.
This is a good question. Sandy Kim's question is lit in if CO Belf, if you're listening, what do you think about this? I don't know. It seems
I
like
I
he
don't know what
believes
that
in some
is.
of it and he seems intrigued by it. And he's
Oh, I
quite a
think
few.
he's intrigued by the fact that, uh, you know, Scientology's okay with the same thing that he's okay with. Uh, and it's, like you said, he's not focused on people like Aaron who are speaking out, or Serge or Nora who want to protect the children. He's more
Mhm.
interested in people who have 1 foot out of Scientology and 1 foot in, still in.
Yeah.
Uh, because
Yeah.
he's, you know, trying to surround himself with people who have that belief that he has, that minors are not
And
children,
he attacks anybody who advocates
who
children.
advocates that's right.
Ugh. Ugh, I
Yeah,
just
I
wanna throw
know.
up.
I know.
This
Yeah.
revelation is just Giorgio's clapping. Yeah, it's a revelation. It's just, oh my god.
Yeah.
Mm. Let's see. Just so you know, grooming of children is happening at a global scale.
That's right.
MAPS want to give children the power of consent. Ugh, that's probably why they went after the ex-Scientologists. Kids can't consent.
That's right.
Absolutely.
And that's why I'm saying it's almost like a cult. It's almost like a cult that's
Yeah.
or is a
Yeah.
cult that has been
Yeah.
formed.
Yeah. And thank you to everyone who's watching. Well, we got 122 people right now. We need to band together against this because it's so insidious and so
Right.
not okay.
Yeah.
And it's just wild how, like, last night I was planning on doing this after everything about yesterday, and I was implicated. It's like, okay, you invoke the name of Beelzebub or whatever, or Beetlejuice, and all those things. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
what's going on here? So I was
Beetlejuice.
like, okay, let's roll up our sleeves and find out what's going on.
Yeah.
And I was so glad that you were coming on the very next day because, like, this is all tied together.
Yeah.
The camera video that George and Kelly and Liz Gale did, and then Aaron's presentation last night and talking about the mic render connection, and then bringing out the whole maps thing last night, and
Oh,
then your testimony today. It's just, I feel like it's a counter movement against this
yeah.
evil, insidious movement in order to normalize this disgusting
Yeah, I
practice.
know. Yeah. And by the way, that's why I picked my name, channel name is Solicitous. You just explained it all there.
I
Because
don't even know what I said.
well, that's what solicitous means. To take an interest and, see things like that going on and wanting to do something about it. Feeling in your heart that something has to be done about this and I wanna
Yeah,
take part in stopping this or
yeah.
fixing this or,
I can see that about you,
Yeah.
is that you have that activist heart. It's just, I don't
Yeah.
know, it's something I like, sometimes I wish I didn't have it, you know?
Oh, I hear you. I hear
It's
you.
exhausting and then people hate you.
Yeah, people hate you and they feel like you're just bitching all the time. Like my sister-in-law said to me one time, "Well, why is it always you that, speaking up about this stuff or whatever?" Because I have it in me to do that. We
Yeah.
all have something about us, and
Yeah, and like I said,
I'm
the
not I'm
universe
not like
knows that because
Reese.
somehow, a roundabout way, here it is 22 years later, and I hope that that validated what you did because you definitely
It
helped.
did. It did. It did. It was
Yes.
like they got him. I mean, the punishment is not what it should be.
No.
Unfortunately, our laws have
No.
to change.
Yes.
Um, but
It's in the
yeah.
records, and I was glad to see because there's a fine line even in California with, not only the age, but also the severity of it. And it is in the books as a felony. So I was glad because
Yes.
there is such thing as a misdemeanor charge
Yes, I
of
heard that.
wild corn.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's a felony. So I was like, yes, good.
Yeah.
That's good to know, you
Well,
know.
and that tells you again what was in those pictures, right? Because it's a
Yeah.
felony.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And they said Russian teens, and we don't know how old
Yes.
they were. We don't know if they were living in Russia. We don't know the details of it, but that's what
Uh,
was said in the charge, in the affidavit, I wanna get it right, court memos.
yes. Yeah.
Hey, Joel, I'm finding it hard to express how upsetting this topic is to me. I'm sure that exposure of these sick people is key. I'm glad there are brave folks that come forward. Yes.
Thanks, Joel.
It's very nice of you, Joel. I know this is tough. This is
It is.
difficult, you know.
It is.
Lord Kiss Freak said there's not a statute of limitations in Ontario. Good to
Good.
know.
Good.
That's good to know.
You got me curious now about Canada. Or
Yeah,
Canada, Nova Scotia.
Nova Scotia. It's good to look into that one. Sharona, thank goodness there are people who can do this work, picking out the predators in these communities where the vulnerable are looking for support. Yes.
Mhm.
Yes, that's the heart of the matter. Yep. Yeah, the world is full of horrors. We have to stay aware and fight for a kinder future. Yeah, for the children.
Mhm.
Children are the future, right?
Yes.
James Steele, my devout Catholic mother helped cover up my abuse by a priest. She wouldn't speak out against the church. Oh my God. Sorry. I just can't sometimes.
Aw. I know, it was so messed up, and I have a lot to say about Catholicism, and I am gonna do a video on it. I know I'm gonna cause some dislike, but
Well,
I feel the need to speak about it. I feel very solicitous about it, so I'm doing it.
yeah, go for it. I support that 100%. I think that's the thing, as there's been this um taboo of speaking up. And I remember, growing up and knowing that one of my foster sisters had been essayed by her father for many years, over and over and over and over. Her and her sister, and they were all blood. It wasn't like it was a stepfather; it was her blood
Yeah,
father.
yeah,
And he never went to jail for it. He should have been locked up forever, in my opinion. You
yeah.
know, but it was one of those things where you don't say anything, you don't talk about it.
It's alright.
But no more. We're gonna talk about it,
So I just looked up Nova Scotia, and if I'm reading the correct information, maybe there's more, but that was just the quick
What
what
did it say?
information 15 years statute limitations.
Oh, 15 years, okay. I thought you
Yeah,
said age 15. I'm like, "What?" Oh, 15 years, okay.
yeah.
Well, that's still not good. That's
No,
not good. I don't think there should be any.
that's right.
Yeah, yeah. James said, "I'll be watching." So he'll
Oh,
watch your
thank you.
your channel. Oh, Sharon. Hi, fellow Nova Scotian. I'm from
Hi,
Halifax.
Sharon. Halifax is close. My son lives in Halifax. He's a nurse there.
Oh, wow.
He
Small
just did
world.
the traveling nurse. He was doing the traveling nurse, and now he's settled back to Halifax.
So let's
He wo
settle back
he
to
he
Halifax.
works with the kids, the critical, kids at the IWK.
Just so you know, my son turned 18 during his senior year at high school. He refused to date anybody who wasn't 18. I was a smart man. Yeah,
Good for him.
that's that's a good way to go about it.
Yep.
Definitely. Sharona, there are too many of those women out there in the Catholic Church wanting to be, quote, important in their parish is seeming more important to expose the priests and the deacons. Yeah, and there's no excuse for it, but I see that pattern in other churches as well. I told the story that I had the father of these babies that I used to babysit, and he made really gross advances at me. I was prepubescent. I think I was 11, and I was a late bloomer, so it wasn't like an early blooming 11. I was only like a kid. I was definitely a kid. And I saw what was going on because he creeped me out. He did some things. I went and told my parents. He was high up in the church, and my dad was ready to, minister some mountain justice, is what we used to call it. And my mother was like, "Oh, no, 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 you're mad." Like she just did.
Oh,
She
I
just threw it
know.
off.
That's how it
Turns
was.
out, turns out, 10 years later, he's landing his butt in jail
Mhm.
for essaying
Yep,
all the neighborhood children,
yep.
more than
10
one.
10 years too late.
And he only served 10 years. But you
Yep.
know what's weird? Talk about karma. He got out of jail, fathered another child with that same woman, same wife who waited for him. Ugh, gross. Fathered another child. This time a
It's
boy. He had two girls.
disgusting.
Yeah, and he's his namesake. One day, his lungs exploded and he died in his late 50s.
Oh, wow.
Like they said, his lungs froze up and he just died. And I was like,
Weird. Weird.
yeah, I guess God got him. I don't know.
Yeah, you got that right. I wanted to say, I think it was James' comment that you had up there about a son wouldn't date anybody.
Oh yes, that was
Yeah.
just so you know.
So when I was 15, so the age of consent in Canada is 16,
Mhm.
which is ridiculous, but I think
Yeah.
it should always be 18. But when I was 15, sorry, when I was 15, my boyfriend and my first husband, who we were together 17 years, we were together until we divorced. I was 15 and he was 17 when we first started dating. So I was considered under,
Mhm.
age, and they
Mhm.
used to joke, his friends would say I was jailbait.
Right.
But that's where that law comes in. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? That's more for stuff like that. That's what I was trying to explain earlier, but I think I said 16 instead of 15. That's where that, so my parents, my mother would look at that and decide if she felt that was okay or not. Or, no,
Mhm.
you can't date my daughter. She's only 15. You're going to have to wait till she's 16 or
Right.
17.
Right.
That's more where that would come into play. It's not a rule for predators to look at and go,
Yeah.
"Woohoo!" Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
disgusting.
Online old predators
Yeah,
to groom and yeah, target them. Yeah. Mhm. This is a good point, James. They have no fear like an addict. It's
yes,
all about the next fix, no matter
that's
the
right.
take
Yeah,
risks. Yeah. Yeah. PDFs will flock to anyone they think will protect them. It reinforces their deviance.
mhm,
Yeah.
yep,
There's this
and
weird gambling.
control.
Yeah. Mhm. That's all part of it
Yeah,
is the process. Oh, yeah. So they
yeah,
call them predators, right?
that's right.
Yeah. Sharona, Mike Rinder always said these things, not just not to the extent that he did at the end. His reaction to Miriam was over the top.
Exactly, and
Mhm.
that's what I was
Yeah.
saying, like, in the end, he was so sick, he probably had the brain mets, so he really, went for his obsessions and, like,
Yeah.
ooh, overboard.
Yeah. 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 And his interview with John Atak, that was not impressive to me.
Oh, no, no, no. That
I
and
was not.
laughing through it and like it's a big joke. Disgusting.
Yeah, I did not like that at all.
No.
Sharona, I think Mike Render had the part of his brain that was able to keep what he really thought out of his mouth. It failed at the end of his life. Right. Cause then he
That's
said it
right.
publicly, you know. What he saw is likely what we saw is likely what he always thought and carried out. Yes.
Yeah.
And George is back there clapping.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am gonna give it some thought. I hate to this will cause a shitstorm. And I hate to dig up old things, but I mean it's a year old. But the emails that he sent me very much
Mhm.
reflect this.
Well,
So
it'd be interesting for you to go back and reread those and see where put your thoughts now,
yeah,
because like you said, you're kind of starting to weave this all together now and see, okay, I see what's going on here.
yeah,
And so read through that and see what more you pick up on in those emails.
mm, yeah, absolutely. Just so you know, please, parents, make sure your kids know that they can come to you if somebody makes them feel uncomfortable, even if it's a teacher, preacher, anybody.
That's
Yeah,
right. I
and
always told my boys don't
yeah,
trust anybody, and I hate
oh
to
yeah.
say that, but it's true. Don't ever
After
put
what happened to
anybody on a
me,
pedestal.
yeah, after what happened to
Yeah,
me, I was so on top of my
that's
kids. Like
right.
I would not let them go with anybody, even because I honestly, I had some foster brothers and people that were, not blood relatives. I wouldn't let my children. go
Oh,
anywhere alone
absolutely.
with them.
Yeah, I was
I
the
just
same
didn't trust
way. Yeah,
I didn't trust it, and then there
yeah.
were some foster brothers that were actually really creepy towards me as a kid, not going near my kids,
No,
especially
no.
my daughter, you know?
Yeah.
When my daughter went to high school, she, at first, I was like, "I don't want you to date at all," and then I was like, "Well, I don't wanna be puritanical because I wasn't allowed to date, I wasn't allowed to do anything." So
Mhm,
we tried to,
mhm.
like, keep, an eye on it. There was a boy that was, like, a year older than her, and I don't yeah, I don't really wanna talk about it, but I I kinda wish I was a little more strict, but they were around the same age, so but he turned, be
Yep.
a loser, but
A
yeah,
and it's the same as we know now. Back in the day, you had to kiss so and so, and you had to give grandma a kiss, and you had to give that stranger who just come in the house, you never knew him, go give him a hug. You know,
yeah,
now we don't do that with our kids.
nope,
Even my grandson, typically he wants to give me a kiss, but if he's so tired, he's in a mood or whatever, and he's not wanting to give me that kiss, that's fine.
right, yep,
That's his choice. He made that choice because
yep,
it teaches them to go by those instincts.
yep,
But when you're forcing them to, "No, go give so and so a kiss and be nice." Now be nice, don't be like
right,
that.
right,
Go give so and so a kiss and a hug. You're taking away their natural
yep,
instincts and
yep.
let them, do that. Don't take that away from them.
Yeah, and even in kind of a little cute, funny aside, my little nephew, he's 5 now, but when he was, 2, 3, 4, I would go to visit and he calls me Auntie Gaga, and he was like, "Auntie Gaga, don't go," and he would refuse to give me a hug goodbye or kiss
Oh,
goodbye,
because they didn't
and
want you
my
to
my
go.
sister would be so upset. She's like, "Go give Auntie a hug." I was like, it's okay,
Yeah.
next time or whatever." And then I'd start to leave, and as soon as I started to actually go to my car, he'd come, "Auntie Gaga, I'll
Yeah.
give you a hug,"
Isn't
because if
that
he thought if he didn't
cute?
hug me, I wouldn't leave.
That's right. He didn't want you to part. Yeah, that
Yeah, it was
is so
cute.
cute.
But, like, I gave him the power, I was like, "Okay, you don't have to hug me," and then he decided he wanted to.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But, yeah, I
This
think it's learning even that young, like, I used to tell my daughter to be, super polite, but a little bit shy with strangers,
yeah.
so she's like, "Be super polite and a little bit shy," because 'cause I'd be like, "She's so friendly." She
Exactly.
would tell anybody everything and
Yeah,
would go with anybody and all that, and I wouldn't even let her go to the neighbor's house, this older man, he seemed nice enough, but he's always trying to give her candy. "No, no, no,
yeah.
no.
No,
Sorry."
no.
Not
Yeah,
happening.
no.
No. So we got Wild Poppy. What you ladies have come forward with is important, always happening somewhere. Yeah,
Thank
unfortunately,
you,
it's true.
Wild Poppy.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Sharona, Nova Scotia and Prince Edward Island, is that what that is? Are
Yep,
on my bucket list. Oh my
yep.
god,
I
yes.
lived in PEI. I lived in PEI, New Brunswick, and, Quebec for a very short period.
Okay. See what else we have.
I'd say Quebec was probably more of a stay than live, but
Oh, yeah.
Rinders, yeah, Rinders
So you can read it.
Rinders Timu, Osa, ugh, I hate all those words, uh, are outing themselves by their silence and running cover for Lytton. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Timu Osa. Yeah. Um, Doug Kramer called it, what did he call it?
I loved
Oh, jeez,
him.
I'll think of it. Oh, I'll think of it. Something about OSA, but it was like, independent OSA. IOSA, that's what he called it. I
Oh,
Independent OSA, like independent, Scientologists, like
yeah.
squirrel it's like the squirrel OSA. I He used to call it IOSA.
Oh, he was funny. I just
Yeah.
started getting into him. I watched his very last live he did with I can't remember her name, and they were
Oh,
touching
yes.
on this topic as well. This
Yes.
is the stuff they were talking about as
Yep.
well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely. I talked to him a few days before, and he was definitely wanting to go, delving into some other cults too, like he did twin, what is it called? I forgot.
Oh, yes, I know what you're
I'm
talking
old.
about.
I
It's
forgot what
one
it's
of
called.
yeah, one I'm gonna do some talking on that one too, yeah.
Yeah, I did
I always forget the name of it too. The husband
yeah,
and
but I
wife.
I did I did a stream on that with,
Oh, you
Ash
did?
from
Okay. Yeah.
That's So Fucked
She's
Up
from
podcast.
Canada and he's from the US, and they're just whacked right out of it.
Yeah, somebody will know. And something, I forgot now.
I anytime with the twin thing, I go back to Twin Peaks.
That's what I'm thinking too.
Well, you can't tell we're from the '80s.
In the years I have been in the community, this one has made me the maddest. Agreed,
Aw,
agreed. We expect
that's
this from
that's
Scientology, but never ends coming into our community.
that's right. That's a bad
Mhm.
thing, but a good thing that it
Yeah,
was caught. And that's
yeah.
what you have to do, exactly what you guys did, and I'm so happy you guys did that.
I'm so happy you came forward too, 'cause it
Thank you.
does really, to me, it drove home the fact that this doesn't change. These people need to be outed because it doesn't change,
No,
unfortunately, you
no.
know?
You have
So
more of a chance of rehabilitating certain, not serial
mhm.
killers but m some types of murders than you would ever these type of people, these type of predators.
Yeah, it's all about protecting the children, you know?
Yep,
Yeah. And not validating sorry, Constitution, I will definitely read your comment, but and not giving them, any protection, because this
right.
whole maps thing and these trolls that are surrounding
Yeah,
them and attacking
yeah. But
not what I say because
but
it's the
they're the
truth, but
same. But they're the same. They're one of the same, right? Birds of a feather flock together. And obviously, because if anybody I have a bad habit of saying "cause if," that's a Nova Scotia slang. I mean, come on. You're gonna run in the opposite direction once you learn that, unless it's your thing, you know? You're
yeah,
gonna stand there and protect that person because you're no different. It's
yeah,
disgusting.
it is. Okay, so we got our last comment here that starred from Constance June. The ATAC interview was bad. ATAC has said that Mike had planned on doing 6 or 7 of them and was going to tell us more, but
Oh,
because of all
yeah.
the negative comments after that, after the first one, said no.
There's no more to tell. What is there to tell? Like,
I think he would have just tried to, deflect
reiterate what he's saying
deflect and
already saying.
defame,
Yeah,
Miriam. Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
he didn't answer any of her questions.
Yeah, my gosh.
Yep. Yeah, just like Heat says, "Disgusting." Disgusting. Exactly.
Yeah. Heat my shorts.
Heat my shorts. I love that. I
Yeah, I
love that.
know. I love all the names. It's so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. Oh, this is wow, I can't believe it's already been an hour and 42 minutes.
Wow. It goes
It
by
flew by.
fast when you're really, into a good conversation, things that need to be said.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And thank you for having me.
Anytime, seriously.
Oh,
I
yeah.
would like to do a lighthearted stream with you too.
Yes,
We could sit there and
something
crochet.
exactly. I had my tablet on my lap one day and my coffee there, and I was crocheting and you were crocheting and you were doing your stream, and it was just a stream, you know,
Yeah.
about just chit-chatting. My husband come in and I said, "Look, I'm crocheting with Marilyn." I thought that was so cute.
I love it. I love when people send me things and someone sent me I'll have to show it a video of their dog listening to my sons play the outro.
Yeah, because dogs love music.
Yeah. So speaking of outro, I think I'll play that
Yeah.
since we're in a more lighthearted mood and it always makes me smile. So we'll do
Thank
that.
you,
And thank
everyone,
you
for
everyone.
coming and
Uh
listening.
check out Nova Haven
The
on
channel
on
is solicitous.
Solicitous. Okay.
Yes.
There's the link is I think I pasted it at the top of the chat. So it's there and check it out and subscribe if you like. And we will see you later. Thank you for being here. Bye, everybody. Have a great day. Zenu Marlene, everybody partake. Cheers. This is good coffee. This is why, my hubby makes the coffee.